Dharma Bites is brought to you by Free Buddhist Audio, the Dharma for your life. Our work is funded entirely by donations from our generous listeners. If you would like to help us keep this free, make a contribution at freebuddhistaudio.com/donate. Thank you, and happy listening.
Now, our last remaining ancient Eastern theory of psychological types is a Buddhist one, and it's found in a very famous work, a very famous textbook of Theravada Buddhism called the Visuddhimagga of the great teacher, the great Acharya, Buddhaghosa. And it happens to have been written about 1500 years ago in Ceylon. Now, in principle, its theory is quite simple. It posits just three main psychological types, and it calls these, in the original Pali, Lobha Charita, Dosa Charita, and Moha Charita, meaning the greedy type, the angry type, sometimes translated hate type, and the bewildered or deluded type. So these three, greedy, angry, bewildered, just these three types of persons. And it's interesting to see that according to the Visuddhimagga, these three types are linked with three definite kinds of experience of the world. This is the determining factor. The greedy type finds the world predominantly a pleasant place, finds experience predominantly pleasurable. Or we can even put it around the other way. A person who finds the world predominantly pleasurable, or who experiences the world as predominantly pleasurable, experiences the world as consisting more of pleasant experiences than of painful ones, will develop into the greedy type of character, or the greedy psychological type. And similarly, for the angry type, for the hate type, the world is predominantly a painful place. This type of person finds that there's more pain in the world than pleasure, and in this way the angry or the hate type of character develops. And the bewildered type, well, he isn't sure. Sometimes he thinks one thing, sometimes the other. Sometimes he thinks that the world is a very pleasant place, but other times he thinks it's just awful. So he wavers, he oscillates. He's the deluded type, the bewildered type, the type that can't or won't make up his mind. Now, Buddhaghosa, the great teacher and great writer Buddhaghosa, gives many interesting details about these three types. And he tells us, for our information, especially, how we can recognize them. And this is one of the most interesting parts of the whole Visuddhimagga. It's rather dull and scholastic in parts. It's rather dry in parts, and not to say hair-splitting in parts. But when Buddhaghosa comes to this part of the Visuddhimagga, which means path of purification, he really lets himself go, and you start thinking he might have made a good novelist. So he describes the different ways in which we can recognize the different characters, the greedy, the angry, and the bewildered. And he says, well, in the first place, you can recognize them by the way in which they walk. Just watch the way they walk, the way they put down their feet. He said the greedy type of person walks along very smoothly and gently and evenly. But he said the hate type, the angry type, walks along roughly, digging his heels into the ground and striding along. So you can recognize him in this way. And the deluded, the bewildered type, well, sometimes he walks in one way, sometimes the other. If you watch him long enough, you'll find out which type he belongs to too. And then he says eating. You can recognize these different types by the way in which they eat. So of course Buddhaghosa is thinking in terms of eating, especially rice, with the hand. So he says the greedy type makes the rice into very nice, neat little balls of just the right size, and very gently puts them into the mouth. And he keeps his fingers very clean, and he doesn't scatter a lot of mess around him, around his plate. But he says The angry type, what does he do? He makes very big, unshapely balls and sort of tosses them into his mouth with a rather angry motion. And he scatters lots of bits and pieces around. His hand is rather dirty. He said this is the angry type or the hate type. And there was the poor deluded type or bewildered type. Well, he acts in either way according to circumstances, as it were, or according to the whim of the moment. And then talking. He said they even talk differently. The greedy type speaks very agreeably and smoothly and pleasantly and evenly. But the angry type, of course, speaks roughly, harshly, loudly, vehemently, rudely. And, of course, as for the poor bewildered type, well, what I said before goes here too.
We hope you enjoyed today's Dharma Bite. Please help us keep this free. Make a contribution at freebuddhistaudio.com/donate. And thank you.